When I, rubbing sleep from my eyes and scratching my ass under my underwear, opened the door, Kolya was standing on the threshold. "Damn, what are you doing here this early?"
It's already 10.
"It's Saturday, Kolya. Normal people, whatever. Come in. Something happened? Haven't seen you at all lately." Standing in front of the hallway mirror, I pulled down my lower eyelid and stared at the fine web of veins covering the white of my eye. "Yeah, we went pretty hard last night." Kolya kicked off his worn-out sneakers and we went into the kitchen. I flicked the kettle on and, leaning over the mountain of dishes in the sink, started splashing water on my face. Kolya sat on the edge of a stool, flicked a stray cockroach off the table with his finger, sending it flying, and said,
Actually, yeah, something did happen. I want to tell you this thing. It'll blow your mind. But first...
He pulled a player out of his pocket, untangled the earphones, and held them out to me.
Here, listen.
"What is it?" I shoved the in-ear plugs into my ears, and Kolya pressed a button on the player. At first, there was only a faint hiss. Then the sound started growing, just some kind of rhythmic noise, not music like I'd expected. Something like pulsations, gradually speeding up. In the right ear, there was a slow, low hum, like a transformer buzzing in damp weather, while in the left something chirped, like one of those cheap Chinese kids' toys from the market. Some time ago, I remembered, those so-called digital drugs were popular online, another scam. I downloaded a pack from torrents out of curiosity and listened to a couple, still secretly hoping deep down. What if it actually works? Of course it didn't, but the sounds were similar. The noise in the headphones faded, and I pulled the plugs out. "So what was that?" I stared at my friend.
Tell me what you heard, Na.
Behind the thick lenses, his eyes shone with curiosity. Some kind of wave-like sound, pulsing, 2 frequencies. What's the gimmick? I tried recalling what people wrote online. It imitates brainwaves or something.
Nah.
He waved his hand.
No binaural wave crap, that's all bullshit. This is something else entirely. Though, I should start from the beginning. It's a long story. You'll make some tea.
I looked into the tin. "I've only got Nescafe. You want some?"
Sure.
I went to the room, threw on the t-shirt that looked the cleanest, and pulled on my jeans. In the kitchen, Kolya had emptied the overflowing ashtray and was now sitting with his feet tucked up on the stiff corner bench, smoking a Winston. I hastily threw together sandwiches from whatever was around. There was some servalat sausage and dried out cheese in the fridge, sat on the free stool, and set the coffee mugs on the tablecloth. Then I looked at Nikolai. Something about him was off. I mean, he'd always been a little not of this world. Even back in school, a hardware geek, a programmer, a bookworm. He hated that last nickname, though he liked being called a nerd. A good guy overall. Always something to talk about with him. Neither of us ever said it out loud, but we were what you'd call friends. But today he was even stranger than usual. Face like stone, speech clipped, though normally he mumbled. Hair disheveled, and his eyes just not right. In short, I lit a cigarette too, and he began to talk. He told his wild story for a long time, going into details, in a voice that was almost mechanical, chain smoking. My first cigarette burned my fingers because I forgot about it almost immediately. It was impossible not to believe him or brush off what he was saying. And the further he went, the stronger the dread gripping me became. On top of that, his story and last night's drinking made my head spin. I watched him, listened, and occasionally took automatic sips of my now cold coffee. I don't know who will read this file, but I know why I am writing it. My friend, Nikolai Olegovich Pikolin, born 1986, must be stopped at any cost. I'd like to retell his story in full, but I don't have time anymore, and my thoughts are getting tangled. I'll write briefly. I have to make it. Fill in the rest yourselves. This story began 6 months ago, when Kolya bought another toy on Amazon from some American guy. His small rented apartment was crammed with toys, models, figurines, and God knows what else. Shelves of discs, manga, and books lined the walls. On the wall, over a Soviet Khrushchevka carpet, hung an insanely expensive steampunk rifle, and on the mezzanine he kept a collection of futuristic blasters. I told you he was a nerd. This time, for a couple of virtual bucks plus shipping, he bought a plastic blaster, or emitter, or stunner, or whatever you call it. Basically, a futuristic looking piece of crap. Made in China, battery powered, able to blink lights through transparent parts of its casing, and make pew-pew sounds. I had one like it as a kid. Everybody probably did. On the rather crumpled box of Kolya's new acquisition, in big letters, it said, Mind Eraser 3000. And the toy was pretty expensive for such disposable junk. Because it came with a story, the previous owner swore up and down that if you shot someone with this thing, they'd go insane. Yeah, really, the only catch was you couldn't use the blaster anyway, because the shooter would go crazy too, along with everyone else within a 10-meter radius. No, Kolya wasn't an idiot. He didn't believe it, but he loved a good story. And an overdose of science fiction, consumed and read over the years, was making itself known. So once he picked up the Mind Eraser from the post office, he started to study it. Yeah, it turned out to be an ordinary cheap plastic toy. It wasn't actually made in China though. On the battery compartment cover, there was a stamp that simply said, factory, with no country specified. The second odd thing was a microchip, the size of a postage stamp, with wires from the batteries soldered onto it so badly, it was embarrassing. Kolya unscrewed the casing, examined it carefully, and understood nothing. I need to stress this. If he, a top student of the electrical engineering faculty, whose thesis defense had the entire board on their feet applauding, couldn't figure out a children's toy, that's very, very strange. But you've probably already realized this whole story is, damn, my head is spinning. I feel sick. I'll be brief. I have to write fast. Kolya put the blaster back together and decided to run a series of tests. The following months, he devoted to experiments. His victims were mostly cats. Also, several dogs, rats, mice, hamsters, aquarium fish, cockroaches, and a tarantula. And, as I now suspect, maybe one of the neighbors or one of the homeless people living in the corner of his yard, near the heating pipes. He tested the blaster on all of them, and the cursed thing worked. Exactly the way the seller had said. At first, he just shot animals with the toy, squeezing his eyes shut and plugging his ears with earplugs. Later, he figured out that the LEDs blinking in the barrel did nothing, that the effect wasn't directional at all, and that the damaging effect came from the sound it produced. He removed the chip and the tiny speaker and placed them into another casing. He turned his bathroom into something like a recording studio, lining the walls with sound-absorbing panels and mounting the little box with a chip near the ceiling. It could be activated remotely. What sound the tiny speaker actually produced, Collier never found out. Obviously, he caught cats in the streets, luring them with bits of sausage, became a regular at all the local pet shops. He experimented obsessively and by the deaf back wall of his apartment block, disguised as a flower bed, a graveyard of test subjects was growing. A man of passions, he threw himself headfirst into his new hobby, to understand the operating principle of the mysterious microchip, which simply could not work, should not have worked. But it did. Oh, did it ever? He became obsessed. The guy gradually grew gaunt. An unhealthy shine appeared in his eyes, dark bags under them. That had happened before, to be fair, when he got seriously hooked on some game. In the 4th month of experiments, Natasha left him. She was a good girl. Collier had fallen for her back in 1st year, and by 6th had finally managed to win her over. But having someone like my friend for a boyfriend, a maniac, turned out to be too much for her. Hell, I understand her perfectly. Anyway, after throwing one last hysterical fit at the silently slumped Nikolai, she slammed the door and left. Nothing distracted him from his research anymore. You want to know what happened to animals that heard the signal? They went insane. Every single one. Cats, mice, fish. They lost their minds. Went mad. Completely deranged. Some died afterward, on their own. Others had to be strangled or put down. Our genius didn't care anymore. The impulse had no effect on insects. Collier explained something to me about ganglia, about rerouting neural connections. I don't remember. Too complicated, and it's getting harder for me to think and phrase things. Simply put, once heard, the hellish sound changed something in the animal's brain. Not instantly, it spread from the auditory center through the whole brain, from neuron to neuron, flipping something along the way. Not a virus, not a tumor, more like a program. Each creature went mad in its own way. Animals died biting off their own paws, tearing off tails, smashing their heads against walls. Fish battered themselves against the gravel in the aquarium. Cats howled wildly, while many, on the contrary, fell into stupor and refused to eat. Others wandered around the apartment with empty eyes, swaying, bumping into walls and furniture, fouling themselves. Once, a cat ate another alive, and the victim purred and squinted with pleasure until it died. Listening to the man sitting across from me, with a calm, almost hardened face, describing all the things he had done, I could physically feel my hair turning grey. How many animals were there? You see, I thought I knew him well. Ha, ha. And then, somehow, by resoldering the wires leading to the speaker, he managed to route the microchip's audio output into the input stage of his high-end computer sound card, the center of his small, personal universe. How many hours of machine time, how much labor from his fevered brain went into decoding the signal? I can to imagine. But Collier was no fool. Not at all, and very persistent. He got the signal in pure form, a set of impulses, frequencies, wavelengths. He was a sound engineer, but he was a mathematician, and that was more than enough. He understood the principle, the obtained madness signal. Actually very simple. According to him, he broke down into components, made stereoscopic, amplified, cleaned of the noise produced by the poorly soldered mind eraser 3000 circuitry, looped and converted into an MP3. The experiments continued. You've already understood everything, right? I hope so, because it's getting harder and harder for me to type. I keep forgetting what the letter I need even looks like. The human brain, it's much bigger than a dog's even, and the process of neurocrystallization, as my friend called it, takes much longer. I managed to type that word only on the 5th try. By the end of his story, my slightly hungover headache had split into a full migraine, tearing my skull apart. At times I seemed to black out, forgetting who the person sitting across from me with that cold, studying gaze even was. Sometimes I don't understand where I am. A couple of times it felt like I was flying somewhere or falling. Then the outlines of objects would slowly come back into focus. Only I've completely forgotten the names of some of those objects, and trying to remember is torture. A piercing ringing in my left ear doesn't stop. I feel worse and worse with every minute. The picture in front of my eyes is swimming, and there are little specks everywhere. I won't be able to type much longer. I'm scared. I'm very, very, very scared. I think I wet myself. What will happen to me? Will I become a drooling idiot? Or bite off all my fingers while laughing cheerfully? Tear out my eyes like in horror movies? Jump out a window? I could smash my head against the walls. Actually, I tried. Despair. Terror. It seems the process can't be stopped anymore. But he can be stopped. Must be. It's too late for me to struggle. I want to jump up, scream, run far away from here, away from the approaching madness and these filthy, stinking shadows clinging from all sides. But where would I run? To a hospital. Sure, you can run from your house, even from your city, but you can't run from your own skull. You can't hide from yourself, no matter how hard you try. Useless. I'm locked in here, locked in the dark with a monster that's eating my brain. Locked. What is fear of madness? Do you have any idea what that is? I don't want this. I'm writing this, and the keys slip away under my fingers, and dirty shadows crawl in, covering my mind. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't want this. I have to fight. I tried solving math problems in my head, but now I can't even come up with one, let alone solve it. I'm reciting the alphabet backwards. I have to resist. It should help. Think. I'm writing this and realizing I'm crying like a little girl. What will Mom do without me now? Push her idiot son in a wheelchair through the park? I'd rather just die. I'll keep typing as long as I can. You have to know. You have to understand. I don't want to go insane like all those cats. And you know what he told me when I asked why? What? I said. Am I one of your experiments? You just let your friend listen to your recording for fun, you fucking DJ. No, he says. Not just like that. Natasha left me, and you knew how much I loved her. What does that have to do with me? Why did you do this to me? You murdering pig, you bastard. He laughs, says she left him for me, that he knows that we slept together. Why would she need a bookworm? She's beautiful. She's a goddess. She needs someone cool like you. He's spraying spit, yelling. She left for you, And you call yourself my friend? Friend? It's true, it's true. I mean, she did. Come to me. Haha. Haha. I told him I was sorry. Don't do this, Collier. I scratched my forehead raw. Hitting my head doesn't help. Crying. He said I'm a bitch, and that this is for that. He called her too. Let her listen to this neurochrist. Neurocry did the same to her, and I'm a bitch, and I don't want this. I want to think, but I forget everything. Words, things. Please no, don't want. Don't know how, he said. I'm a bitch and that's it. That he'll let everyone hear it. Radio internet said everyone's already idiots, won't get worse. Haha, he said haha many times, and my head is heavier. Don't understand. Forgot his name, mine his. Stop him and I'm a bitch. Bitch is a dog. I remember that. Bitch dog and I'm a bitch. Then I'm a dog. Okay, good. Need to think. Need to write and think. Haha, I'm a dog woof. I'm a dog woof, he said. Natasha Blaster, and I'm a dog. Everyone go mad. Sleepy good dog. Good dog, dogs say woof. I woof. I woof. Woof. Woof.